Hello, I've got another rant on government class tonight. This one is about introducing politics to your students and why it's unfair to be biased. Now, this is not to say that it's a bad thing to introduce political perspectives to your students. In fact, that's actually a good thing in a government class. That's not really what I'm complaining about. Rather, the issue is that he's showing us all of this Republican stuff, but where is the liberal stuff? Where is the moderate stuff? Now, he tried to make it look like he's not showing us just Republican viewpoints with the handout that he gave us. So, if we take a look here, we've got our political views. We've got liberal, which would be people like Joseph Lieberman, Evan Bayh, Hillary Clinton. And it goes through a list of some of the liberal ideas. Then you've got conservative, and then far left, secular progressives. So just on looking at this sheet, just without looking any further, you'd probably say, oh, well that's pretty good how he's introducing different viewpoints. Take a closer look. Look at what it says for liberals. Number 1, government takes care of you cradle to grave. Now I know that there are some crazy people out there, but I've heard a lot of liberal politicians speaking, and I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that they believe the government should take care of you from cradle to grave. Let's see what else it says here. It says redistribution of wealth, like Robin Hood. Well, I'd say that's fairly accurate. Entitlement programs, government owes you because you're a citizen. I don't know if I'd phrase it that way, but that's roughly correct. Raise taxes on rich to pay for all this? Not exactly. World consensus needed to use military force. World consensus. Cradle to grave. Have you noticed something about this? Have you noticed how they're very widely generalized and how they are misrepresentative of the actual intent of each philosophy? The liberal philosophy does suggest that the government should focus on taking care of its people by doing things like building roads and providing schools and health care and keeping old people from having to eat cat food, making sure people who lost their homes to hurricanes have homes. Well, let's take a look at the conservative side on this horribly skewed and inaccurate political views worksheet. Conservatives, people like Ronald Reagan, Richard Lugar, and Fred Thompson. Number 1, they believe in less government dependence. Capitalism. People take care of themselves, the government does not take care of you. Fewer welfare programs. Individual responsibility. Oh, I like that. Oh, that is great. Because you know what that's saying? That's basically saying liberals are irresponsible. We're responsible. You're not. Conservative, good. Liberal, bad. What else? Less taxes. Gotta state why. To encourage econ growth, letting people decide. I won't comment on how horrible the English is on this entire worksheet because I already did that in another video. But you can notice it for yourselves. Less taxes. I like how he states why. To encourage growth. I saw a commercial on YouTube from the 1980s advertising Ronald Reagan's campaign, and it kept emphasizing growth, economic growth. Well, now that we've been thoroughly convinced that all liberals are evil and Republicans want the best for America, let's take a look at the third item on the worksheet, and this one is the best of them all. It wasn't enough for the teacher to just slash against liberals for what they think, contrasted with conservatives. I like how he put this third section on here, for the people that he really hates. Far left, secular progressives. You got liberal, conservative, and far left. Well, those are the only 3 on the worksheet, so obviously those are the only 3 political viewpoints you can have here in America. Let's see what these people believe. Diminish religious influence wherever possible. Oh, how terrible. We need our religion in government. That way we can go back to the medieval times and horses and buggies. Don't make any moral judgments about... Oh, he actually spelled judgments correctly. Good job. Don't make any moral judgments about others and their behavior. No morals. These people are immoral. Instant gratification. That's horrible. The individual over the group. No immigration limits. Everything is America's fault. And I need to stop here. Everything is America's fault. Oh, goodness. I'm not sure if he really thinks that there are people that believe this. I've never heard anyone say that everything is America's fault. Yet this seems to be something that a lot of people think. Not that everything's America's fault. They think that liberals think this. I know a lot of liberals, and I've heard a lot of liberal politicians, but I've never heard anyone say that everything is America's fault. Sure, some people might not give much credit to us as a nation, but when they say that we are responsible for this problem, aren't they just stressing individual responsibility? He says that we're a superpower and we shouldn't need world consensus, but shouldn't we also be held accountable for our actions? Just because we're the strongest, does that make us right? But never mind the many paradoxes in his thinking. Let's take a look at the next one. Socialized medicine. People are owed a certain lifestyle. Social promotion schools want you a new world order. Yeah. Okay, we get it. So from this worksheet we see that conservatives are right, liberals are bad, and far left are completely horrible. They're going to destroy America. You know, we actually spent an entire class period once watching various Bill O'Reilly segments complaining about immorality in the news and how Fox News is the only reliable station, and, you know, blasting on the New York Times and other liberal conspiracies. But, you know, I've never really noticed until now, but he's shown us a lot of Bill O'Reilly. And each day on the board, he has a quote. And it's one of two people. It's a quote by Ronald Reagan, or it's a quote by Bill O'Reilly. But it's usually Ronald Reagan, because we all know that Ronald Reagan cannot be questioned. He's always right. I mean, he's a conservative, you know. But he's never really shown us any liberal shows. He never showed us any Michael Moore clip. He never showed us a segment from Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth. Every political thing he's shown us has been pro-Republican propaganda. Again, I'm not saying that it's bad to introduce politics to a government class. But if you're going to be biased like this, and to such a point where it's comical how cheap some of these tactics are, I really don't think that that's very responsible as a teacher and as a citizen, and especially as someone trying to teach politics. You cannot be biased. It's okay to have your own opinions, but let other people decide for themselves. And if you're going to introduce politics to your class, you better make it even. This right here is not even. This is horribly slanted and biased. It's a horrible depiction of what people really think, and it's all for the purpose of getting his opinions out to a group of students. It's almost child abuse, subjecting students to this nonsense. I don't want any conservatives in the audience to feel offended by what I'm saying, because I am not saying that conservatism is bad. What I'm saying is that teaching politics and adding this slant, this little twist, loading your questions with assumptions and trying to get people to see it one way just because you think it's right, that's bad. And I think that's something that all the people with common sense can realize. It's ironic because he goes around talking about how wrong everybody else is, when in reality, I think he's the only one that doesn't know what he's talking about. Thank you, and good night.